Hi, I'm Becky Hauser. I'm the Artistic Director at Huge Theater, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the path to our stage. So, getting started, I'm going to assume that you have some basic improv knowledge. You've done a show or you've taken a class. You foundationally understand how improv works. If that isn't the case, I highly recommend that you go and take a class. It's going to introduce you to people that are excited about improv, and it's going to give you an opportunity to learn that base knowledge that'll make you successful in the processes I'm about to explain. So, assuming we're all in the same place, I'm going to start out by explaining the two types of shows at Huge, and then how you can get onto our stage through each type. First, there's independent shows, which comprise about 85% of our total lineup. These are shows that are brought by groups too huge to put up on our stage, but ultimately the group owns the idea and is the one producing it. They use our resources like our stage, our staff, our volunteers, tech, musician, all that good stuff to make their show a success, but they can take that show anywhere and it can live out in the world or come back to Huge. On the other side of things, we have Huge productions produced by Huge Theater that live at Huge Theater. These shows are directed by someone that Huge hires and have a cast that's done on an audition basis. So the director and the cast may rotate regularly. I'm going to talk about how to build a group and propose a show for an independent show. And then I'll go a little bit into auditioning at Huge and how that process works. So, independent groups, independent shows. The first thing you need when you're getting started is building a group. You got to have that crew, unless you're a solo show, I suppose. But even still, you still need a general idea of where you're headed. I've been improvising for about 10 years, and the thing that I found is the groups that are most successful like each other, and also they have a set of shared goals. They know where they're headed. So I recommend finding people that you meet in a jam, people that you've done classes with, and start talking to them about what they want to do. I pulled together some conversation starters for you. These are questions that frequently come up as you're building a group or getting something going. Some things to think about are how long or short term you want your group to be. Is this a show that you're going to put up on the stage and then call it quits? Or do you want this group to put something up and then continue to work together and maybe build something else? How often are you going to rehearse? Do you want to perform? Or are you a group that just likes to jam? Do you want to coach? Do you want to tour? All these things. And finally, and importantly, who's going to do the administrative work for the group? So if you are planning to put a show on stage, who's going to be in charge of proposing that show and making sure everybody's where they need to be when? Once you've got that group and you know where you're going, it's time to start getting it up on its feet, start rehearsing together, and maybe give it a try at a venue that allows for 1 to 2 shows, or put it up in front of friends and family. Another great option for you if you're at this stage is Improv-A-Go-Go. Improv-A-Go-Go happens at 8 p.m. at Huge on Sundays, and it's chosen by a lottery. So you don't have to do anything besides go to improvagogo.com, put in your group name, and say that you want a slot. If you're picked, you will get 20 minutes on our stage to try something out. The audience is super supportive. So experimenting and being vulnerable and having fun are what Improv-A-Go-Go is all about. The lottery runs April 1st, August 1st, and December 1st. So watch for those windows to come and go and just keep submitting your ideas to get some time. Once you've had that time and you're ready to propose a show, you need to follow the Huge show proposal process, which I'm going to explain. So show proposals open every March and September and are done on a form that lives on the Huge website. During that time, we'll accept proposals from anybody that wants to do a show on our stage and close the window at the end of the month. Then, the month following, we'll take a look at all the different proposals and start figuring out where they fit on our stage. I, the artistic director, might reach out to you and ask you some questions about the show or try to learn a little bit more about where you're headed as a group. And then look at the shows as a whole. If you don't end up getting selected for a show on our stage in a particular round, please don't worry. I'm happy to talk with you and give you feedback. And also know that I'm looking at all of the shows as a whole, and I want to create an evening for the audience when they're at Huge. So if something doesn't fit with another show, it doesn't mean that your show's not great. It just means it didn't work this time. Okay, that said, once the shows are selected, they will then move into production. Or if your show isn't selected and you want some feedback about where you're headed, I'm happy to work with you on that too. Final decisions are always going to be sent out a month after the form closes, so you'll know where you're headed then. As you're developing your show, you might want to think a little bit about the times that you'll be up so that you can develop a show that fits the time that you're looking for. Shows run for 2 months total and have different nights to perform. If you're selected for Huge Wednesdays, you'll be a part of a group of 4 shows that are playing. Your sets will be about 25 to 30 minutes. If you're playing on Friday or Saturday, however, sets are a little bit longer. They're 45 to 75 minutes and have a variety of start times, which might influence what you want to put up when as well. So in general, when I'm looking at a Huge show proposal, I'm looking for a few things. And it's, of course, not limited to these things, but this gives you some general guidelines. We're looking for a unique idea or form. We're always looking to push the bounds of long-form improv. So things that we haven't seen before or a unique take on something is always great. We're looking for experienced players, people that have played at Huge or elsewhere, that have done go-go, that have been really invested in seeing shows and getting something up. We're looking for a trusted coach or director to recommend you. And we're also looking for a strong marketing plan. We're looking for groups that are excited about getting people to come in and see their show or already have a developed fan base that's all about seeing this group. Finally, we're looking for investment in the theater. If you're volunteering a lot and you're around, that's definitely going to help your case. The specific nights that shows run can also influence what we're looking for. On Wednesdays, in general, we're looking for groups that want to work together and build a community of improvisers that are playing. We also look for groups that want to build their own experience or experienced improvisers that are looking to try out a new idea. So it can sometimes have that experimental flavor or feel. Weekends, on the other hand, tend to be fully formed groups that are already working with a coach and have a game plan. They're usually made up of experienced players and have an existing fan base or a group of people that really like seeing these players on stage. That said, these are guidelines, as I already mentioned, and so these rules are not fast and true, but again, a general way for you to look at show proposals as a whole. So that's independent shows and proposing a show with a group. Now I'm going to move into Huge shows, shows produced by Huge and that are audition only. So, Huge shows. Huge produces some of the longest running and most recognizable long form improv in the Twin Cities. Think your Creature Feature, Kabams, Off Book, shows that you know and love and that come back to Huge Theater or at Huge Theater on a regular basis. As I mentioned, the directors are picked by Huge specifically to direct the cast, and auditions are consistent and announced by the theater to the community as a whole. Let's talk a little bit about those auditions and where you can expect to see them and how they work. We always post our audition notices on our blog, Huge Slack, Huge Information Central, and Huge Casting Call Facebook pages. So follow one of those if you're looking to see those audition notices go up. Anybody that requests a time through the notice is welcome to it. Once you have an audition time, you'll be informed by Huge. Expect to come in and you'll see about 2 auditioners in the room at least, and 6 to 8 other people that you're auditioning with. So it's a fairly traditional improv-sized group. You're going to be asked to do some exercises and some scene work, and from there, the auditioners will assess whether they need to see more from you. There may be callbacks, and then make some decisions about whether or not you're in the cast. Now, improv auditions are a little bit unique in that you're working with a large group of people that you don't know. So for that reason, safety is very important to us. I want to talk a little bit about safety because it can influence whether or not you want to audition for the theater as a whole. So, first of all, if there's someone you don't want to audition with, let us know. The forum has a place to do that. We also set boundaries at the top of the audition so that everyone has a shared understanding of what we're going to be doing in the audition itself. We set them to level A as defined by Fair Play. If you don't know Fair Play, Minnesota, Google them. They're great. Look them up. Those boundaries include content and physical touch. Content is limited to professional content, things that you would feel comfortable talking about in a professional setting. Physical touch is limited to high fives and handshakes. So you're not going to be in an audition where you need to hug someone or something like that. Everyone has an opportunity in the audition itself also to voice additional boundaries if you need them. So if your foot is twisted, ankle twisted, you can tell people so you don't need to run across the stage. Finally, you can call a timeout just like in our classes at any time a scene is going on, and that will never ever be held against you. So keep in mind, we want this environment to be fun for you. We want you to have a great time when you're auditioning for Huge. And we want to make this a place where you can come and audition again and again. In auditions, we're looking for players that are having fun, hence the emphasis on making sure the space is there for you to do that. We're also looking for players that can play within the boundaries we've outlined, that are professional, that show up on time and are ready for their audition when it begins, and players that can easily build scenes with others in the group, whether you know them or not. We also love it when players are excited and ready to jump in, but leaving space for others on stage as well to say things and have their time. And finally, have a general understanding of the genre of the show, if there is a genre within the show. You don't have to know the genre inside and out. Frequently, directors will work with players to make sure they have that base knowledge by the time you hit the stage, but it is handy to have some basis in what you're doing. And that's that. If you're cast, we will reach out to you and tell you after the audition, usually about a week afterwards. Then we will post the cast list to our Huge blog, and the show will go into production. So those are the two ways that you can hit the stage with Huge: an independent group or through an audition through a Huge production. I hope this has helped you figure out what you want to do next and where you want to go. Again, I'm Becky Hauser. I'm the Artistic Director, and I'm always happy to talk with you. Just reach out when you see me around the theater. Thanks so much, everybody.